It was a calm Sunday afternoon. The baby was sleeping in his little crib, the room filled with soft sunlight and the quiet ticking of a wall clock. Meher, a young mother in her late 20s, looked out the window nervously. Her hands were shaking, a little, even though she was trying to stay calm. She heard a knock at the door. She took a deep breath, picked up her baby slowly, and walked toward the entrance. When she opened the door, Rayan, her ex-boyfriend, was standing there. He looked thinner than before. His eyes were tired, his face pale, but he gave her a soft smile. "Just 10 minutes," he said. "I only want to see him once." Meher looked back over her shoulder. Her husband, Adil, wasn't home. He had gone to the grocery store. He wouldn't be back for at least an hour. She nodded slowly and stepped aside. Rayan entered the living room and sat down carefully, not saying much. Meher sat opposite him, holding the baby in her arms. Rayan leaned forward. "Can I hold him for a second?" Meher hesitated. Then, after a moment, she passed the baby to him. As he held the tiny child, his hands trembled. "He looks just like you," Rayan whispered, his voice shaking. "No," Meher said quietly. "He looks like Adil." There was a short silence. Meher watched him closely. She remembered the pain Rayan had caused her, the lies, the night he left her alone when she needed him the most. But she also remembered the good parts, the laughter, the way he once made her feel special. Before everything went wrong, now he was here, holding a child that wasn't his. Or was he? Meher closed her eyes. No, she thought. The child was Adil's. 100%, but Rayan had once been a big part of her life. She didn't love him anymore, but she didn't hate him either. He had begged her for weeks, just one visit. Just one look at the baby. She thought it was harmless. Outside the house, across the street, Mrs. Camille, the neighbor, was watering her plants. She noticed the man entering Meher's house. She didn't recognize him, but she remembered him from before. That was not Meher's husband. She narrowed her eyes. "What is she doing?" she whispered to herself. She picked up her phone. Inside again. The baby began to cry. Rayan panicked slightly. "It's okay," Meher said, taking the child back into her arms. She gently rocked him until he calmed down. "You should go now," she said softly. Rayan stood up slowly. "Thank you for this. I didn't deserve it, but thank you." He walked toward the door. Just before leaving, he looked back. "I know I lost you, but seeing him today gave me something I'll never forget." He left without another word. Meher stood at the door for a few seconds, heart pounding. She closed it and leaned against it, eyes closed, holding her baby close. She didn't know that someone else had already found out. Later, that evening, Adil returned home. He placed the grocery bags on the kitchen table. "Meher," he called. "In the room," she replied quickly, fixing the baby's clothes, making everything look normal. Adil walked in and kissed the baby on the forehead. "Was he good today?" he asked. Meher nodded. "He slept mostly." Adil smiled. "That's nice. You must be tired." She gave a weak smile. Adil looked at her for a moment longer than usual. Something felt different. But he didn't say anything. Not yet midnight. Meher couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what she had done. It wasn't cheating. It wasn't love. It was just a goodbye. A soft goodbye to a part of her past that she had buried deep. But she also knew, if Adil ever found out, he wouldn't. Understand? Would he? She turned and looked at her sleeping husband. His face was calm, peaceful, and her heart felt heavy, because secrets don't stay secrets forever, and sometimes the people you love most are the ones you hurt without meaning to. The next morning, the house looked peaceful. But peace can be dangerous when it's hiding the truth. Meher stood in the kitchen, making tea. Her hands moved automatically, but her mind was lost in yesterday. The memory of Rayon holding her baby still played again and again in her head. She told herself it was a small thing. It didn't mean anything. She was just helping someone get closure. But still, her heart was not calm. Adil, her husband, sat at the breakfast table looking at his phone. He didn't say much. His eyes stayed on the screen, but his mind was elsewhere. Last night, he had received a message. It was from a neighbor. "Who was that man at your house today while you were out?" The message was short, but sharp. It hit Adil like a punch. He hadn't replied. He didn't want to believe it. Maybe it was someone else. Maybe it was nothing. But now, watching Meher avoid his eyes and speak in a soft, nervous tone, doubts began to grow. Scene. Quiet suspicion. "Did anything happen yesterday?" Adil asked casually, taking a sip of tea. Meher looked up, her eyes wide for a second. Then she quickly looked down. "No, nothing. Just stayed home with the baby." Adil nodded slowly. He didn't push her, not yet. But something in her voice felt off. Later that day, when Adil went to work, he couldn't focus. The image of Meher's face when he asked that simple question kept flashing in his mind. He decided to check the baby monitor camera that he had installed in the living room months ago, just for safety. He opened the app on his phone and played the recording from yesterday afternoon. At first, nothing. Then, he saw it. The door opening. Meher standing there. A man entering. A man he had never met. The camera had no sound, but he could see everything. Meher handing the baby to that man. The way the man held the child. The way Meher looked uncomfortable. And then the man leaving. Adil's hands turned cold. He stared at the screen, frozen. His heart didn't know what to feel. Anger, confusion, hurt. He locked his phone and leaned back in his chair. Who was that man? Why didn't Meher tell me? His chest felt heavy. Trust, something he had always felt in this marriage, now began to crack. Evening. Silent tension. Meher welcomed him home with a soft smile. Adil replied with a nod. No hug, no kiss. The distance between them wasn't visible, but it was real. "Everything okay?" Meher asked, trying to sound normal. "Yeah," he said shortly. They had dinner in silence. The baby laughed and played in his seat, unaware of the storm growing between his parents. Scene. A memory. That night, Meher sat on the bed, looking at old pictures on her phone, photos of Adil smiling, holding her hand, taking selfies during their honeymoon. He had always been kind, always stood by her. She felt a tear slip down her cheek. Maybe she had made a mistake. She didn't cheat, but she hid the truth. That hurt too. Scene. A decision Adil couldn't sleep. He sat alone in the living room looking at the dark screen of the TV. His thoughts were loud. He had to ask her. He had to know who that man was, not because he didn't trust her anymore, but because her silence was killing him more than the truth ever could. Next morning. Truth approaches at breakfast. Adil put down his cup and looked directly at Meher. "I want to ask you something." She froze. Her heart dropped. "Yesterday, who was that man in the house?" Meher looked up slowly, her eyes full of fear. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Adil didn't blink. "I saw the camera footage." Now she had no choice. Her secret wasn't a secret anymore, and the truth was coming, whether she was ready or not. The room was filled with silence. Meher felt like the walls were closing in. Her hands trembled slightly as she looked into Adil's eyes. His voice had been calm, but his words were sharp. I saw the camera footage. She couldn't lie anymore. Her heart was pounding, her mouth was dry. Her mind searched for the right words, but nothing felt enough. It was Rayan, she finally whispered. Adil blinked. The name hit him like a slap. Your ex? He asked, his voice still controlled. Meher nodded slowly. Adil stood up and took a few steps away from her, running a hand through his hair. He was trying to stay calm, but inside he was burning. Why? He asked. Why would you let him into our house? Why would you let him hold our baby? Tears filled Meher's eyes. He begged me. For weeks. He said he just wanted to see the baby once. He didn't want to cause problems. That's exactly what he caused, Adil snapped. Meher looked down. I didn't tell you because I knew how you would feel. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did, Adil replied, his voice breaking for the first time. Scene. Emotional storm. Adil sat down again, but he couldn't look at her. His heart felt like it was being crushed. I trusted you, Meher, he said softly. I gave you everything. My love, my name, my home, and you let him inside? Meher cried silently. I didn't do it to hurt you. I didn't even talk to him for long. I just felt bad. He's alone. He's sick. Sick? Adil repeated. She nodded. He said he has cancer. He said he's dying. He only wanted to see the baby once before she could finish. Adil stood up again. Do you believe him? He asked. I don't know, Meher said honestly. But I saw the pain in his eyes, and I saw the guilt. He's not the same man I once knew. Scene. Cracks in the heart. Adil walked to the window. He stared out, but he wasn't really looking at anything. He was just trying to breathe. I'm not angry because he came, he finally said. I'm angry because you didn't tell me. You hid it from me. That's worse. I was scared, Meher said. Scared you would think I still had feelings for him, but I don't. I only love you. He turned to her, eyes filled with pain. Then why didn't you trust me with the truth? That question stabbed deeper than anything else. Meher had no answer, because deep down, she knew he was right. Scene. A night apart. That night, Adil didn't sleep in their room. He took a pillow and blanket and went to the couch. Meher sat alone, on the bed, hugging herself, crying softly into the dark. The baby slept peacefully in his crib, unaware of the storm around him. The days that followed were quiet, but not peaceful. Meher and Adil moved through the house like strangers. They spoke only when needed. They cared for their baby, they cooked, they cleaned, but their hearts were no longer close. The laughter that once filled the house had vanished. One night, as Meher sat in the baby's room, rocking him to sleep, she looked at his tiny face and whispered, I'm sorry. She wasn't sure if she was saying it to the baby or to herself. Scene. The baby's first word. A few mornings later, the baby said his first word, Papa. Adil turned his head, shocked. Meher smiled softly, tears in her eyes. The baby giggled, reaching out his little arms. It was a moment that should have brought them joy. Instead, it reminded them both of what was missing between them. Love. Scene. The fight. They couldn't avoid that evening. Adil finally said what had been sitting on his chest for days. I think you still care about him. Meher turned sharply. That's not true. Then why did you protect him? Why did you protect his feelings more than mine? I didn't protect his feelings. I was trying to protect you. No, Adil replied coldly. You were protecting yourself from facing me, from telling the truth. Tears filled Meher's eyes again. Do you think I don't regret it? I regret it every minute. Adil shook his head. Regret doesn't fix trust. Scene. The real fear. Then Meher said something that changed the air in the room. I thought if I told you, you'd leave me. Adil froze. You think I would leave you just because your ex saw the baby? No, she whispered. I thought you'd leave me because maybe I'm still broken, because I still carry pieces of the past inside me, because I didn't tell you the truth. Adil walked closer. I married you with your past, Meher. I knew it existed. I accepted it. What I can't accept is being lied to. Her lips trembled. I was scared. So was I, Adil said. But I never hid anything from you. Scene. The question. Then came the question Meher feared most. Do you still have feelings for him? No, she said quickly. But Adil didn't look convinced. Then let me ask you something else, he said. If I hadn't seen the camera footage, would you have ever told me? That made her pause, and in that pause, Adil got his answer. He picked up his car keys and headed for the door. Where are you going? She asked, panicked. I need space, he said. I don't want to say something I'll regret. The door shut behind him. Meher stood frozen, holding on to the edge of the table as her legs weakened. Scene. A mother's breakdown. That night, Meher sat alone on the living room floor. The baby had been fed and put to sleep. But she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking of Adil's face. His voice. His pain. She had never seen him this distant, this angry, this hurt, and she knew it was because of her. Scene. A phone call. Her phone buzzed. It was a number she didn't recognize. She hesitated, then answered. Hello? It's me, Rayan. Meher's heart dropped. What do you want? I heard you're in trouble, he said. I didn't mean for this to happen. You shouldn't have come, Meher said coldly. You caused damage you don't even understand. I'm sorry, he whispered. Your sorry means nothing now, she replied, and cut the call. Scene. Adil's drive. Meanwhile, Adil sat in his car at a park near their house. He stared at the dark trees, the empty road, the quiet night. He thought about everything they had built. Their wedding, their baby, their dreams, and how one small decision had put all of it at risk. Scene. Two broken hearts. Both of them were hurting. Both of them were silent. Both of them were wondering the same thing. Can this marriage survive? Or is this the beginning of the end? The night felt colder than usual. Meher lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her pillow was damp from silent tears. The baby had been sleeping for hours, but her heart was wide awake, heavy with guilt and fear. She turned her head to the empty space beside her. Adil still hadn't come back. It was the first time he had stayed away for a whole night. Scene. The morning after at sunrise, Meher finally rose from bed. Her body felt tired, her spirit even more. She walked into the baby's room, trying to find comfort in her son's peaceful face. But something surprised her. There was a piece of folded paper lying in the baby's crib. Her hands shook as she picked it up. Scene. Adil's letter. It was a letter, written in Adil's handwriting. Meher, I sat in the car all night thinking about everything. I didn't want to leave you. But I didn't know how to face you either. I still don't know if I can forget what happened. But I want to try. Not for you. Not even for me. But for him. Our son. He deserves two parents who don't give up. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I will be. Please don't lose hope. Adil tears rolled down Meher's cheeks as she read the last line again and again. Please don't lose hope. Scene. A call for help later that day, Meher called her older sister, Hina. I need you, Meher said, voice trembling. Within an hour, Hina arrived. She hugged Meher tightly and listened as she shared everything. I thought I was being kind. I thought I was doing the right thing, Meher said. You were being emotional, Hina replied softly. Not wrong, just, human. I'm scared he won't come back. He will, Hina said. He just needs time. Scene: a father's return. That evening, the sound of the front door opening startled Meher. Her heart skipped a beat. She walked out of the baby's room and saw him, Adil. He looked tired. His clothes were the same from the night before. His eyes met hers, and for a few seconds, they just stared at each other. Then Adil spoke. I saw the letter. Meher nodded. I cried when I read it. He stepped inside. I didn't know where else to leave it, he said. I wanted you to find it when you were close to our son. I wanted you to remember that he's the center of everything. Scene: a difficult conversation. They sat down in the living room across from each other. I'm not okay, Adil began. I'm still hurt, but I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose you either, Meher replied, wiping her tears. I'll do anything to make things right. I don't want promises, he said. I just want honesty, every time, even when it's hard. I understand, she whispered. I failed you, but I want to fix it. They both sat in silence for a moment. Then Adil reached into his jacket pocket. I went to see someone. Today, he said. Meher looked up. Who? He placed a card on the table. Marriage counseling, healing. Together? Meher stared at it, surprised. You think we need therapy? Adil nodded. I think we need help. We can't fix this alone. She picked up the card and smiled weakly. Then let's go, she said. Together. Scene: a baby's laughter, as if on cue, their baby giggled from his crib. It was like the house smiled again for the first time in days. Meher and Adil both looked toward the sound, and for the first time since the fight, they smiled at each other. It wasn't a full smile. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was a start. The office was quiet and calm, with soft chairs and warm lights. Meher and Adil sat side by side, both a little nervous. It was their first day of marriage counseling. Neither of them had ever done something like this before. The therapist, a kind-looking woman named Dr. Saba, smiled gently. You're both here, she said. That's a good start. Scene. The first step, Dr. Saba asked simple questions at first. How long have you been married? 2 years, Adil replied. Do you love each other? They both looked at each other. Yes, Meher said softly. I do, Adil added, though his voice was a little stiff. Dr. Saba nodded. Then we're not here to find out if you love each other. We're here to find out how to protect that love. Scene. Opening up, Dr. Saba asked Adil to share his feelings. First, he took a deep breath. I felt betrayed. I felt like Meher didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. And that hurt more than anything. He looked down at his hands. I kept asking myself, why did she hide it? Does she still care about her ex? Am I just a backup? Meher's eyes filled with tears. Scene. Meher's pain. Then it was Meher's turn. I didn't hide it to hurt him, she said. I was scared. I didn't want to lose the peace we had. She paused, wiping her eyes. I should have told him. But I kept telling myself it wasn't a big deal. I didn't know it would grow into something so big. Dr. Saba nodded thoughtfully. Secrets, no matter how small, grow in silence. Scene. The baby's role. They talked about their baby, too. How? Do you think your child is affected by this? Dr. Saba asked. Both were quiet. Then Adil said, He's too young to understand now. But one day, he'll see everything. And I don't want him to learn that hiding the truth is okay. Mayer looked at him, heartbroken. "I want him to grow up in a home where his parents trust each other," she whispered. "Not just love, trust." Scene. Healing together. Over the next few weeks, they attended more sessions. They talked more than they ever had before. They laughed sometimes. They cried often. Meher began to see her own fears more clearly. "I always felt like I had to be perfect," she told Dr. Saba, "because I had a past. Because I was scared Adil would see me as damaged." "And what do you see now?" the therapist asked. Meher looked at Adil. "I see a man who stayed. Even when I gave him a reason to walk away." Adil reached for her hand. "And I see a woman who made a mistake, but never stopped loving me." Scene. Trust rebuilt 1. Evening, after a session, they walked in silence toward their car. Adil suddenly stopped and said, "I'm sorry too." Meher looked surprised. For what? For not listening earlier, for walking out that night, for letting silence hurt us more. She squeezed his hand. "Maybe we both needed to break, to build again." They smiled. Not a weak smile this time. A strong one. Scene. The new promise. That night they sat beside their sleeping baby, Adil. It had been 2 months since that painful night. The day Adil walked out. The day Meher thought she might lose her family forever. But today was different. Sunlight poured through the windows, warming every corner of their home. The baby giggled in his bouncer, clapping his small hands with joy. The air didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like peace. Scene, a fresh morning. Meher stood in the kitchen making breakfast. She hummed softly to herself, something she hadn't done in a long time. Adil entered, holding their son in his arms. "He woke up calling for you," he said, smiling. Meher walked over and kissed the baby's forehead. "He knows his mama needs him," she whispered. Then she looked at Adil and added, "Just like I needed you." Scene. Talking without fear. They ate together at the table, talking about little things, the baby's new tooth, Meher's favorite song, Adil's new project at work. But behind those simple things was something powerful. They were talking without fear now, without doubt. There was honesty in every word and softness in every silence. They weren't perfect, but they were real. And that was enough. Scene, a special day later. That day, Adil surprised Meher. "Get dressed," he said. "We're going somewhere." "Where?" she asked. "You'll see." He packed the baby's bag and waited as she changed. She wore a soft blue dress, the one Adil always loved. They drove for half an hour and finally reached a quiet place near the river. It was the spot where Adil had proposed to her years ago. Scene, a quiet picnic. They spread a blanket under a tree and played with their son. Laughter filled the air. At one point, Adil reached into the basket and pulled out a small notebook. "I've been writing," he said. "Writing what?" He opened the notebook and began reading. Day 1. I was angry. Broken. Day 7. I saw her cry. And I knew she still cared. Day 15. We spoke the truth, and the truth didn't destroy us. It made us stronger. Day 30. We laughed again. Day 60. She's not just my wife. She's my best friend. And I still choose her. Every day, tears welled up in Meher's eyes. "I didn't know you were writing all this," she said. "It helped me heal," he replied. "It reminded me that love isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up. Together." Scene. A family promise. Before they left the picnic spot, Adil took Meher's hand. "Let's make a promise," he said. "What kind of promise?" "No more hiding. No more silence. We face everything. Together." Meher nodded. "I promise." They held each other close as their son babbled happily beside them, unaware of the storm his parents had survived. Scene: back home. As the sun began to set, they returned home. Meher lit a small candle in the living room, something she hadn't done since the fight. The warm flame made the room glow. Adil walked in and smiled. "It feels like home again," he said. Meher looked around. "No," she replied. "It feels better than before." Scene: final moments. That night, they stood over their baby's crib. He was asleep, his tiny chest rising and falling gently. Meher whispered, "Do you think he'll remember any of this?" "No," Adil said, "but one day we'll tell him, and he'll learn what real love looks like." They turned off the light, but the house didn't feel dark anymore. It felt full of light. The kind of light that only comes after a storm. The kind of light you fight for. The kind you never take for granted.